What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuide.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is another anniversary. It's the 25th anniversary of Tarzan. Two worlds, one family. And this is available on Disney Plus, and I'm not a shill for Disney. It may feel like that. I've been accused of it, but I'm not. I just love Disney. I like Disney. I live in Orlando, so I'm like a stone's throw from the most magical place on earth. Anyway, I just wanted to celebrate Tarzan. It's actually one of the 90s animated features that I truly do enjoy. I really think I would consider this like a desert island film for me, so I was really happy to rewatch this for its 25th anniversary. It does have audio description deluxe, narrated by Jedediah Barton. I've had lots of thoughts about Jedediah on animated features before. I feel like this is probably his best work. He feels like he's most engaged here than he has been previously on films like Treasure Planet, Lion King, Two Simba's Pride, Lion King 1.5. He's an odd choice for kids films because he doesn't really have that kid's voice vibe to him. He's like one of my favorite narrators, like easily. I try not to rank them because I know too many of them personally, so I've never actually said these are my top 10 narrators. But yeah. Anyway, so it's really hard for me to criticize him because he's done so much work that I've loved, and he usually attaches himself to somehow companies and writers and mixers and everything that create a holistically perfect audio description track. So, but we do have to think about, is somebody right for the project? There's still something about casting, and that pressure is on Deluxe. That pressure is on whatever the company is to make sure that you hire the right person for the project. You have to think about the project. I would not hire William Michael Redmond to do Blue's Clues. You know, he's great at a lot of things. He might be terrifying on Blue's Clues. I'm just saying, like there's a solid chance that he might be. And then I've also heard some voices recently on some other projects where I'm like, this is not the right voice for this project, the other way around. Like the guy who is really good on Hacks is also doing Immaculate. Those are not the same thing. He's giving it the same exact style of voice. So it works in one, it does not work in other. So those are my thoughts on my biggest thoughts on the audio description are that. Otherwise, yeah, there were several things. I think this is honestly, and this is really sad because I've seen the film like 5 times. I think this is the first time I've actually realized that Turk is actually a female gorilla. I thought with Rosie O'Donnell that perhaps they were just using her voice to help flesh out Turk, and that Turk was, because Turk hangs out with other male gorillas the whole time, and there really isn't a whole big thing about Turk being a female gorilla. There isn't like a huge storyline for her in that way. She's treated as, she's very much like a tomboy type, which also makes excellent casting for Rosie O'Donnell. But it wasn't until I started listening to the audio description where she's clearly gendered that I was like, oh, Turk is a girl. I truly, honestly, I was like, oh, crap. I just, now I'm getting that. And I've seen this film 8, 9, 10 times. I feel stupid. It's interesting. It's interesting the things that you pick up when you get audio description too, and you know, you get something like a gender, like a pronoun in there. Oh my god, pronouns! I know, guys. You're already here on a Disney review, and I just said the word pronouns, and somebody just had a heart attack. I can feel. I'm so sorry. I used Disney and pronouns in the same review, and it's just somebody's passed out over there, and they're going to write me an angry email about how Kathleen Kennedy has ruined their life. I feel that so hard. But if you're talking about how the new stuff sucks, at some point you have to acknowledge that the old stuff was good. So so like 90s Disney, like what are we talking about here? Like you can't just, you know, for those people who argue now that Disney is the bane of their existence because politically it's cool to do that. You would still have to then acknowledge that at some point Disney was good. So find that thing. What was it? Where do you draw the line? At what point did they change? You know, because this is still, I believe, the tenure of Michael Eisner. Was Michael Eisner the problem? Because he's not one of the people now that we're talking about. So it's an interesting thought to wonder. Every time you put up a review now about Disney, it's like, what am I going to get with this? I don't know. But it's, I know this feels like less like a review, but these anniversary things are more like celebrations of films that I loved. It gives me an opportunity to talk about a film and why it means something to me, why it mattered, why we should be celebrating its 25th anniversary. Because there are other films that came out in 1999. We're not going to talk about those films. Nobody's going to talk about some of these films. You wouldn't even remember some of those films. Like, if you went right now and you looked at films that came out in 1999, there would be films on that list you'd be like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And that was just 25 years ago. So, it's just about celebrating the right films. And for me, Tarzan is the right film. I love the music. I love You'll Be in My Heart. I love Trash in the Camp. Is a favorite of mine. I think what's really funny is another reason why I remembered this is I have to give a shout out to another channel. I have no problem in doing this, but the awards contender did a video that I actually didn't watch because I was like, what? About Tarzan and how Tarzan somehow ended Disney's streak at the Oscars, but it didn't. It won Best Original Song for You'll Be in My Heart. Something that I actually had to look up because when he said that, I was like, well, of course it lost because Jessie's song won, right? When She Loved Me. Why wouldn't you vote for that? We didn't vote for that. I would have voted for that. So, like, to me, it wasn't even like I love You'll Be in My Heart, but I love Jessie's song is one of my, I don't know, top 3 Disney songs of all time. So it's one of the most emotionally impactful songs ever written for a Disney movie. I don't know why we didn't vote for it, especially considering that Toy Story 2 as a film was better reviewed, better received. We were coming out of You've Got a Friend in Me, which did really well in the first Toy Story. So why wouldn't we have voted for Jessie's song? I just kind of assumed. It's funny how 25 years later, I would have assumed Jessie's song won the Oscar. But it didn't. It was actually, so I don't know what he's talking about when he said that Tarzan ended the streak. If anything, it would be the film after Tarzan that ended the streak because Tarzan still won. So, yeah. And even if Tarzan didn't win, if Toy Story 2 won, Disney would still be winning. Because they'd have multiple movies now because of Pixar. Anyway. Thoughts. This is the retelling of Tarzan. There are a lot of little things that you can pick up along the way, like Clayton is the name of Tarzan in the Edgar Rice Burroughs novel, original back in the day. I believe his name is Clayton in the novel, and then they give it to the villain here, which I noted. And the voice work here, aside from Rosie O'Donnell, we have Tony Goldwyn as Tarzan. He does really nice work. Minnie Driver as Jane. Delightful work. This was in the period where they were trying to get more boys to watch cartoons. So instead of having a Disney princess necessarily, they went for more of a prince with Tarzan, figuring that girls would still show up because he's all ripply and muscular looking, and he's got long hair and he's surfing on trees. Whatever reason, I don't know. But I remember watching a documentary that talked heavily about exactly what they wanted, the look about the surfing on trees. And the work that went into that. I believe that is the sequence where they really use a lot of computer animation. This is part of, Disney in the 90s started dabbling in computer animation. They did it in Lion King with the Stampede sequence. Mulan with the Huns. All of those Huns, when you see like the Huns that are coming in, that's they were like, this is a lot like the Lion King. We probably should do the same thing we did in the Lion King. And they did. And then Tarzan also with the trees and the surfing through the trees. I think they were assisted, and it wasn't entirely hand drawn. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's the 25th anniversary of Tarzan. The film has pretty great audio description. So far, the best Disney audio description I've heard from Jed Martin. So, props. I have enjoyed this film since it came out. I like the fact that it doesn't hold back. It doesn't pull its punches. It's violent and it's scary. The leopard that they have to fight. There's some stuff in this film. If you have a kid that's under 5, this is not the first Disney movie you should show them. You should. His parents are clearly dead, and that leopard clearly eats a baby gorilla. I mean, like, there are some things that your kids are probably going to pick up on, and it's like, at what age do you want them to pick up on it? So, yeah, it's it's not necessarily the warm and fuzzies that some of the other Disney films have at that time. So, but it's good. Everything is well described. The action sequences, it brought back a lot of things. I really love the stuff with the hands too, because I remember that. I remember how Tarzan had his hands because he was always trying to replicate the gorilla hand with the clenched knuckles, and then he'd fold them into the human hand, and that's really well described. So, anyway, check it out. Give Tarzan a look. Like I said, I think this would be a desert island film for me because it's a comfort film. This is a comfort film. I can turn on Tarzan and it makes me feel better. So, it's gonna get an A+ from me. So, yeah, it means I just kind of use that grade when nostalgia kind of takes over, and it's a comfort film. It's a film I put on. Doesn't necessarily mean the film is A grade quality or is one of the best films of all time, but it is to me. So, and I have to kind of acknowledge that there's a little bit of a bias, and it'd be really hard for me to kind of figure out what the actual grade is, because I can put this on anytime, any day, watch it, and I'm good to go, and it'll cheer me up. And it did. It cheered me up. This was a nice watch. So, thank you, Tarzan, for being around for 25 years. And yeah, I do. I put it above most of the 90s movies. I think this is above Hercules, certainly. I would rather watch this over Hunchback. I'd rather watch this over Mulan. I'd rather watch this over Pocahontas. So there's at least a couple movies that, I would rather watch Tarzan over. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.